Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz. So the coaches poll came out yesterday, which is our yearly reminder that we still give a shit about a tally of votes that has nothing to do with who will be crowned a national champion and who will even compete for a national championship. And don't give me this bullshit about how, well, if you get ranked higher early in the season, then it gives you a better chance to get it. No, it doesn't, because Auburn in 2010 started out number 23, and Auburn in 2013, coming off of a 3-win season, was unranked. Both teams made it to the national title game in the BCS era, with only 2 teams getting in. Well, but what about the group of 5 teams? They have to. Yeah, they probably do. But here's the problem, and I'm going to be honest. I don't give a shit about them. I don't give a shit about little boy football. I care about big boy football, all right? Little boys can go play off in the sand. The adults over at the bench talking about adult things. But LSU came in at number 13. Okay, look, with all the talent coming back and based on the performance that they did last year, when you add that all up, that's a fair ranking. Sure, that's a fair ranking. But if you had to summarize LSU's preseason, what would it be? Like, what's the storyline? So every article that you read for preseason football in college or in the NFL, it's always, Les Miles. It's if they get the quarterback right, this team will be fine. For the Saints, this year, well, just get Michael Thomas healthy and, rework that situation. If you fix that, then it'll be okay. Or maybe it's getting another cornerback. If the Saints get another cornerback, it'll be okay. Oh, this team, USC, they have a lot of talent, but can they find the chemistry? That's the article magazine summary, if you want to call it that. Well, when people ask about LSU this year, this is what the summary should be. It's not if, it's how much. It's not if, it's how much. Bo Pelini was so bad as a defensive coordinator, it's not if LSU's defense will be better under Durante Jones. It's how much better. Yeah, the offensive line was bad, especially in run blocking, but they returned everyone, and they got a more proven college offensive line coach. It's not if they are better, it's how much better they are. Vegas currently has LSU over-under win total at 8.5. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not if LSU gets over that 8.5. It's how much they get over that 8.5 win total. You shouldn't question LSU's talent or improvement or team chemistry. What you should be asking, is the improvement going to be good enough for me, the fan? We heard stuff last offseason. Now, it was harder to find because, COVID, and there was no less, in-person talking with reporters and players and coaches. But we heard stuff last offseason that Bo Pelini and the players were not gelling and other coaches weren't getting along with each other. And we hear now, this offseason, how much the players like the new coaches, love the new coaches. But will it be good enough for you, the fan, on the field? Having a great offensive line starts with continuity, and that you play together for a long, long time, and that there's chemistry. And you do that by having the same guys next to you year in and year out. So LSU's offensive line will improve based on sheer attrition. They just have to. But will that improvement be good enough for you, the fan? I have a hard time seeing LSU not improving greatly from last season. I really do. They will improve. It's a matter of if that improvement is good enough for the Board of Supervisors, for Scott Woodward, the boosters, and you. But when it comes to fans, people tend to let the emotion of an event affect their perspective of another event. Now, that's natural because it's sports and it's fun and emotions are kind of all about it. I look at watching sports as almost like watching a movie. You can look at it from an objective, critical eye, but at the end of the day, it's all about the emotional experience that you have. TV shows, music, same thing. Same thing applies. But if you have a bad day at work or a bad day at school, and then you come home and there's piles of laundry that you have to do when you get home, and it seems like it's a bigger problem than it is, not because you've never done that big a load of laundry before, or even bigger loads of laundry. It's just the bad day you had at work with your boss, bad day at school you had with your teacher, car broke down, whatever. So it makes it seem worse than it is. And it all happened at once. I think that's what's happened with the Saints fans this offseason. Michael Thomas news coming out, injury, not returning phone calls, getting rid of certain players that maybe you didn't want to, but you had to because the salary cap went down. Onyemata getting popped for suspension. The Lattimore gun charge in Ohio that's looming over everyone's heads. So when Patrick Robertson, a not very good player, retires yesterday after 11 years, well, everyone wants to go, oh, God, the world is falling. We've been cursed. We should trade Michael Thomas and get another cornerback. Slow down. Slow down. Someone I work with brought up a good point. Now, in general, I didn't agree with them, but they did bring up something that I thought was interesting. Look at the 2018 Saints roster. That team that should have gone to the Super Bowl and the whole pass interference blown call against the Rams. Let's look at their cornerback depth. 2018 cornerbacks: Eli Apple, Ken Crawley, Justin Hardy, Marshawn Lattimore, Josh Robertson, and P.J. Williams. Let's look at the current cornerbacks on the Saints roster. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Ken Crawley, P.J. Williams, Marshawn Lattimore, the rookie Paulson Adebo, Grant Haley, and Brian Poole. How is that any worse than what you had in 2018? Just the cornerbacks. How is that any worse? You had Marshawn Lattimore. You had Ken Crawley. You had P.J. Williams. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is an addition. Paulson Adebo has been killing it in camp. Now, the reports are saying that. Now, let's see if he actually plays as well as he's been practicing. But how is Brian Poole any worse than Josh Robertson, Justin Hardy? How's that any worse? This is a problem that you've had before, but the bad news piling up on top of one another over and over and over again all at once makes you think that this is the worst cornerback situation in the Sean Payton era. But look at the linebacking core in 2018 versus today. Go look at the defensive line in 2018 and compare it to today. Go look at the offensive line in 2018 versus today. I guarantee you that offensive line in 2018 is not as good as the offensive line today for the Saints. And then add to the fact that Peyton Turner, the first-round pick out of Houston, and offensive lineman Cesar Ruiz, who didn't have a full offseason, are shining in camp. Now they're shining in camp. I get that. That's one aspect of it. You have to play well in games, but it's a start. Sure, the wide receiver core is now concerned with Michael Thomas being out 5 to 6 weeks, and even if he comes back, I get that. And no, he hasn't asked for a trade, all right? That's fake news. Don't believe that crap. It's just clickbait shit, okay? If Michael Thomas and the Saints' relationship were so bad and just so irreprehensible, then why hasn't he asked for a trade? Why hasn't he? David Onyemata comes back in October. Will Lutz will be back between Halloween or Thanksgiving. And sure, they have to start playing well coming off of the injury of Will Lutz and Michael Thomas, and Onyemata may have to shake off some rust, assuming he's out of shape at all. But we've convinced ourselves that the sky is falling when you have three position groups that are arguably better at offensive line, linebacker, and defensive line, and cornerback, which is about the same as it was in 2018, and a running back room that is just as good as it always has been, maybe even better. And Sean Payton has a whole month to figure this out. You've seen Sean Payton turn chicken poop into chicken soup in less than a week, less than a week's notice. Now he's got a whole month. The laundry will not take forever to do. You've had bigger loads to do. You just had a bad day at work, and it happened to you all at once. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook in the description link below.